Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Darlene. How is everybody today? Try and get that glare off of things. That's the only problem with the glass mat is that if you have a light and you're trying to film, got a little bit of a glare. So we'll put that there just to avoid that. It's windy there. Where are you, Darlene? It is beautiful in Calgary. I haven't been out, so I don't know. It could be windy. I don't think it is. I feel like some days, like I just get up, Statler, okay. Some days just get up and it's like blink my eyes and the day's gone. Still drinking my coffee. We're gonna play around a little bit with some inks and sprays and thunderstorm warning. Okay, we have that again. The thunderstorm warning for around 4 in Calgary. So hopefully we don't get the hail and tornadoes that might accompany that. Hello, Jane. You just never know. I think even if you leave the house in the morning and sometimes it's beautiful out and then by the afternoon it can turn, so you always have to have layers or bring other things with you. All right, I have lots of fun things to show you today. Lots of new stuff in the shop, and then I thought we would just play around with stuff. I have like a bazillion things around me just in case. Hello, Jenny, how are you? We're gonna do some backgrounds, and I just sat down to play with these backgrounds. I think when you get a new ink, well, for myself anyways, I'm more likely to use it if I find out, kind of explore different color combinations, find out what the product does. Hello, Lori. You're sitting outside watching your garden with your buddy. How's your buddy today, Jenny? Jenny has the most adorable cat, and she always posts pictures on Instagram, and it's like the adventures of, what's your cat's name again? Thanks, Jenny. So I was watching that Tiffany Celerio, I think her name is. She's on YouTube and she does lots of really great mixed media stuff. And so just watching her do some techniques in spraying, and I thought I have to get out my sprays and just try that. Charles, right? He's in the garden somewhere. That's funny. And so this one will kind of go over all the colors that I used in it. It was super easy once you get going. And then I just had to try that focus stencil. It's one of the new ones with some Distress translucent glaze. And this is texture paste with the glaze. So the Uncharted Mariner, I think, is really versatile. Of course, you can get like this rusty patina look, and then you can pair it with like pinks and purples for like a pretty summery look. I'm also thinking like the blues and greens for like a seaside look, and then always just having a piece of paper on hand just to sop up anything. Then you've got this fun background that you can then, do some die cutting. And I still have I have the Be Shimmery liquid shimmer watercolor, and I'm going to show you how to use that with your sprays. And you can see here how I've got this shimmer inside, and it's so pretty. Also have a couple new embossing folders that I'm playing with. There's a bunch in the store, and I'm going to show you those. But aren't these pretty? I love these. And in the store, if you click on the other photos that are in, there's a sample that I think probably one of the Altenew design team had done. And it's in like a, I'm thinking it's like a Christmas December daily, if I'm remembering it right, kind of thing. And they have this in the background, and I thought it looked so beautiful. And then this is the corrugated embossing folder, and how amazing does this look? So super cool. So we're going to play with that. I also picked up one of the Altenew stamp layering stamps in the store, and I had a lot of fun layering them. And at 12:30 last night, I decided I had to have some more Altenew inks. So I bought some. So just playing around with those. So we will do that. First, I'll show you what's new in the store, and then we'll play with this stuff. So right now, Sandy's on holidays. And so anything that you purchase in the shop will, she'll ship it out on the 18th. So just so you're aware, it won't be shipped out tomorrow, but it will be held for you. The flowers, thanks, Lori. Yeah, I'm really liking the Altenew stamp sets. They have the stamp layering and the stencil layering, and they're so pretty. And I find, you know, like I'm not really great at coloring with Copics flowers, just because I feel like there's a lot of detail. And so that stamp layering really takes out the, you know, anything that's hard. You could totally color them as well. But I like that you can stamp it and get that effect. So first we've got these really great Studio Cadia embellishment wands, and they have the gems inside them, so they're super cute. And there's different tips. I think there's some yellow replacement. So this is a wax tip, and I guess once it wears down, then you just unscrew it and then screw your new one back on. So it's nice that you can replace that. Hello, Tracy. So just to give you an idea, aren't these great? I'm so excited to use this. So you're just kind of, you know, tapping it in and it grabs it, but it's not super sticky. And then you're going to put it into your glue. And then if you need to move stuff around, you need a pokey thing, you need to press it down, you've got this end. So those really great to have. So put that aside for now. Then, of course, it would work with these Peach Spellbinder sequins. And these are really cute. They're like an opalescent, so they have this iridescent quality to them, opal quality, that kind of pearly finish. And these are the peach color. And you get a fair amount. It's going to be a while before you use those up. So those are in the shop. There's some new Pink Fresh in the July 1st. I think it was the first thing that got entered in there. There's lots of new in the June. So if you're looking through the shop, you can click on July 1st. There might be some more in there right now, but June 1st has lots as well. This one is the cover plate die. So this is stained glass. And I think there's a lot you could do with this. It's beautiful. It's your full A2 size cover plate. There's also a hot foiling plate if you do hot foil. I noticed there's a new one as well. Hello, Tammy. Then here we have the modern scripted sentiments. So we've got the scripts. Aren't they nice? And you've got way to go, proud of you, thanks, cheers. So lots of generic sentiments that you can use for lots of different things. Yes, you can. And then the dies, if you want to cut out right around those words. Then this is the Altenew set. This is the cone flower layering stamp set and die. And so these are the ones that I had stamped, and I'll show you those after. So those, super pretty. And then you've got lots of sentiments there. And they always have, an Altenew with all their stamp sets, they have this little idea folder and instructions. So it shows you exactly, you get these that I guess you could cut out and use if you wanted, or you could just use them for reference. And then you've got your stamping guides, and it just tells you exactly which stamp, and they're all numbered. So they're very easy to use. So it says, like, you use this outline, ABC, and then you come in with your A1, which is numbered here, and so on. Then we have the Crossing Stars 3D folder, and this is one that I had ordered, so I thought I would show you guys. So this is this lovely embossing folder, and depending on how you use it in your machine, because this one is about this thick. I'm going to show you the Spellbinders one, which is significantly thicker. You're going to have to play around with how you layer your plates, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I know if you have Spellbinders machine, they do have like a new kind of cutting plate system that has a few different layers of plates. I don't have that, but that's an option if you feel like you have a lot of different layers and you want to explore something like that. And if that is the case, you can ask Sandy to order that for you. This one is the 3D embossing folder. So Spellbinders, they have, I don't know if they call it a 2D, but they have, I don't have one right in front of me, but some that have a lot of dimension. But this one has even more. So this is the corrugated, and it totally looks like corrugated cardboard, which I love that look of. And my daughter said we should emboss silver and use it like a tin kind of thing. So I thought we would maybe play around with our sprays and see if we can get something going to look like a distressed tin and then emboss it. Now, whenever you get a new folder, hello, Scrap Shotz, how are you? Whenever you get a new folder, I would suggest taking some scrap paper in the thickness, or a bunch of, a few different thicknesses, and running it through. And because the first time I ran it through, I put too much pressure on it, and so the paper was too thick, and it kind of made the lines come apart. But if you do it with your scrap paper, then you're not using your really good paper, and becoming frustrated that you're not getting the effect. So use it with some scrap paper, get your layers the way you want, and then you can throw a few pieces away, and when you figure out what sandwich you want to use, then you're good to go. So if you look here, the dimension is quite a bit different. So this is your 3D, and then this is the 3D Altenew. So both have lots of dimension, but the Spellbinders is definitely thicker. And beautiful effects. So you can see here. This one here is the Circle Illusion. And you've got these really great circles, which also look like flowers. So I think depending on how you look at it, you get a different effect. It's a really big folder. Let me see here. It is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. So you can use that for your slim lines, for your 5x7s, for your A2 cards. If you just have a larger panel you want to do, those are really great for that. Then we have knock on wood, and look at the dimension in this wood, like so fabulous. And you can imagine if you did some backgrounds, you know, in wood colors, kind of like we're doing, and then you embossed it, like think about how amazing that would look. Then we've got the puff dotty. I think this is fabulous as well. Aren't these great, Rosie? Look how puffy those are. So fun. And then we have tile mosaic, which is just a really, really cool design. So isn't that neat? I think that would be a really great background. At Christmas time, we did something with an Altenew one that kind of reminds me of that, but it's different. And we did it black and then rubbed over the Cosmic Shimmer Opal polish. And it looked fabulous for Christmas. Put those away, and then we'll do some stuff with those in a minute. Just trying to keep it all organized here so I'm not looking for everything in 5 minutes. Okay, we have now a couple of these are sold out, and Scrap Shotz, if you're still there, you can maybe let us know if you are ordering them back in. If this one here is no, that one is in the shop. I think it's the Bubbles one and the Botanic Collage. So these are sold out right now. They're fabulous stamps. They are on pre-order at the distributor. So if there's something that you want, let Sandy know, Sandy at scrapshotz.com, and she can go ahead and order those. I'm not sure exactly when they're coming in, but hopefully they won't be too long. And then these are also new ones. This one is Noteworthy, and look at all of the sentiments that you get. These would be so great for any cards. If you're doing scrapbook pages and you want to put a sentiment under your photos, or just as a smaller title underneath your title, subtitle. Isn't that great? And such great sentiments. Like, it's so positive and definitely noteworthy. Then we have Eccentric, and I really love this, and I've been like trying to convince myself I probably should get it, because otherwise I'm going to regret it. There's so many really great images. You can stamp the whole thing if you wanted to stamp it on a background, or you can take the individual stamps out and stamp those. And these are really great for mixed media too, just adding certain parts of the words. So cool. And this one is Floral Elements, and you're getting a lot of stamps on these backgrounds. And this is beautiful. I can imagine this like watercolored, you know, stamped on background, heat embossed. They're just gorgeous. So I think those are really pretty as well. Then we have lots of these stencils in the shop. So this one I decided to try. This one is the Focus one. And it's just such a cool, it reminds me again of that stained glass effect. Hello, Tamara. And then this one is Linked Circles. And these are so great just for adding little details. So the Focus one, you can kind of see where I added the texture paste and the glaze. And I added the grit paste down here with the glaze. And you can just see it very subtle because the grit, this is the translucent grit paste and this is opaque texture paste. So just a really, really neat effect. So we'll play around with that. This one here is, oh yeah, so this is the linked circles, this is focus, and then this one is linked squares, which I really like as well. I think you could do so many really neat techniques with that. And then we have two different sets of these. I just have one here, but this one is the Element Freight Stencil and Element Stencils. They're called Element Stencils. This one's a Freight, and I forget what the other one's called, but they're both in the shop. One is kind of longer and one is a little bit thicker, but you get all the numbers in this stencil format. That is still a good, really good size. Let's see if we has a size on here. It looks like it's about 2 by 4.5, I think. That's what it looks like to me. So a good size, and then you can use your inks or your sprays. Hello, Allie. How are you? We are just looking at some new stuff in the store, and then we're going to do some demos. All right, and then this one here is the Let's Go collection. So it's really great for any kind of travel, or I love the colors in it. I think these colors would go with some of the other collections that they've had out, so you can mix and match. And then you have all these cut apart sheets. You've got your full sticker sheet, which is great. And all these images would coordinate with stuff that's in the paper. You're hot. It is warm. I'm actually very warm right now. Weeds, yeah, weeds never end, hey? Really, really cute. And this bus, of course, I love the bus. I did notice that there's a new Elizabeth Craft Designs die in the shop. It's the suitcase, I think, and it's really cute. So if you saw that bus that I did a while ago, we did a little book with that, I think. They have the suitcase now. That too would go really nicely with this collection. It's really cute. It's got a bunch of dies and a bunch of stamps. So to go with this collection, because Simple Stories is so great, adding products that coordinate to their line. It is humid today, Jenny. This is the chipboard stickers. So you've got all those images, and they're in a different size. A lot of times you get a couple different size choices. And it's also nice to add different, I think, elements of height or texture to your layout. So those are the chipboard stickers. We've got foam stickers, which have two sides, a die cut for the bus, and the bug. The bus, do you mean the Elizabeth Crafts one, Ellie? Maybe somebody could link that up for her, the Elizabeth Crafts bus, if that's what you mean, if it's still in the shop. And then there was an Elizabeth Crafts set of dies as well with a suitcase. But there's no dies that come with this particular set, because this is a sticker, and these would be stickers. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding you, sorry. And this is a whole bunch of other great titles. I love using these for titles. Really cute. Hello, Joe. We've got the matching enamel dots, which are really great color and coordinate. We've got journal bits. So there's usually two types of ephemera, journal bits and then bits and pieces. Thank you, Rosie. Oh, the bus is out of stock. Okay, thank you for sharing it. And then if that's something you do want, you can email Sandy, and if she can get that back in, she will order that for you. So there's 38 pieces that come with that. You reminded was racing with ideas. That's good, Ellie. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you kind of get into that spot where you don't know what to use or you don't know what to make. And I find that if I'm, you know, watching somebody do a layout, or if I knew I have some products that I want to use, and so I look for some videos using that, then a lot of times I'll have an idea. And like we're going to do today, just playing with sprays, we're not making anything specific. Sometimes that gets your mind going. Thank you, Rosie. And then this one here is 48 cardstock die cut ephemera, and this is the bits and pieces, and you get all those little images. So the bits and pieces are more images, and then the journal bits have the little tags and things you can write on. And then these are the page pieces. So these are more of a larger element that you can use on your scrapbook page. And they even give you some ideas about how you could use the paper. And there might even be the simple pages. Sometimes they have simple pages, and it's like almost like a pre-done base for you, and then you add what you want. So if you look in the shop under Let's Go, you'll find everything that's in there. But these are all these pieces, and they're great for making, you know, a double page layout, and it coordinates. Hello, Carrie. All right, so we've got the Let's Go stamps, which are, again, awesome for travel. Aren't they cute? I love the license plate. Look at this. So cute. And there isn't a die that comes with these. These are just, you can fussy cut them out. These are so cute. Okay, the stencil I think is fabulous. This is the roadmap stencil. And this I think would just be so great for mixed media. Then we've got the adhesive brads and the chipboard. So instead of having those little prongs on the back, they've now updated them to have the adhesive, which is great. Yeah, it is great. Hey, Jenny? Aren't they cute? And then they give you some of these chipboard. So then we've got the sticker book, which is 12 sheets and 400 stickers. And you're never going to run out. And if you have a planner, you can use these in your planner too. You've got alphabets and all kinds of things to add to your pages, little sentiments. Those are great for cards as well. We've got the puffy stickers, which are always my favorite. And again, I think I like the texture and the height of them, and they're not super big, but they give you a little bit of dimension on your page. And then we've got the 24 papers, same kind of papers as you have in the large 12 by 12, but they're scaled down to be smaller. And these again are great for cards and stuff. You've got cut apart sheets in here. And I have one more thing to show you, and then we'll play around with that demo stuff. All right, this one I don't have as much here to show you, so this will be quick. This is the card kit Into the Wild. So you've got these really cute cards that you can make. These are really great too if you're going somewhere, or like you just don't know what to work on and you just want to sit down and kind of not have to think about anything. Yeah, it is a great line. Hey, Jenny. I love the color too. So these ones here, so adorable. You get these papers, and basically you're just punching them out. So these are great too to do with your kids, or again, like if you just want to take it to a crop or a weekend away camping and want to bring something easy, you can jazz it up with some inking around the edges. You can add sequins or enamel dots, or you know, some glitter drops, but you can also keep it very basic. So basically just have your adhesive and some foam tape, and they give you complete instructions to make all of these cards. I like putting these cards kits together as well and then giving them as gifts. So like after they're done, wrapping them up, put them with some envelopes and put a ribbon around them and give them to teachers or whatever. Painted your bathroom and laundry room that green color. Oh, nice, Ellie. I bet it looks beautiful. This one here is the collection kit. So these are all those pretty colors. We have lots of zoo pictures too that I think would go really great with these. You've got your cut aparts. You've got your sticker sheet. This could be travel as well because you've got, you know, if you've gone anywhere that's kind of a jungle adventure, you could use it just for birthdays would be really cute with kind of that, you know, jungle theme. Anyone who's ever had 6-year-old birthday party will understand that. Then we have chipboard stickers. Again, super cute. And these would be cute on cards as well. This would be really cute on a slimline card. Then we've got the stencil. I think that Simple Stories does a really great job with their stencils. Garden equal jungle. Totally, Jenny. And this would completely go with like your kitty cat pictures. I love it. Go stay wild. I can totally see that. Look at all the different leaves that you get with this stencil. So you can take the little blender brushes and add these little elements to your card. You could even do a wreath, or you could make a whole background with your wildcat. That's great. I love that idea. There's journal bits. I don't have the bits and pieces for this one, but you can see it online and it is in the shop. And oh my word, they're so cute. So the bits and pieces would have more of the images as the ephemera, and then the chipboard frames. So these are simply adorable. There are 6 frames there. You just put your picture behind it. Here's a look at all the frames. And there probably is more online. If you search up Into the Wild, there might be more in the store as well. So that is a lot of new stuff. Again, Sandy will just be taking some holiday time, so she won't be doing any shipping until the 18th, but feel free to place an order. And she'll get those out to you when she is back doing her shipping. The alligator is very cute. All right, so we are going, I'm just trying to avoid that, but I don't want to leave that there. 1 second here. Avoid that glare. Okay. Thanks. Rosie just linked any Into the Wild. So I have the Vicki Boutin Foundations paper, which is really nice, thick paper. It has a gesso, kind of a gessoed surface on the top. So if you're cutting into it, so this is the pack. I've pulled off the cover, but you'll notice like the top of the page is the one that's covered. Now don't stress about it if you don't figure out if you mix them up, because it's heavy enough that you're going to be able to use both sides, but the wet medium works really nicely if you pay attention to what side is the top side. So I try to leave on the strip until I've cut, and you can see like this would be the top, this would be the back, if that makes sense. And then once I cut them, if I know they're going to be like thrown in a drawer or something, I'll just take a pencil and write B for back so that I can use the front. There's also some Ranger Mixed Media paper in the shop, and that works really nice. If you only have thick white cardstock, or if you have watercolor paper, you can use that. Use what you have, and then if you get a chance to pick up some of this Vicki Boutin paper, it's really one of my favorites. All right. So first of all, like I said, I was watching Tiffany Solario, if I'm saying her name right, and she was just doing some backgrounds, and I really liked the way that she did her backgrounds. So what we're gonna do is make this one. So this one was with pinks and purples, and I'll show you what I used for that. This one, I mean, how cool is that, right? Looks like kind of a patina rusted effect. So I've got Crackling Campfire, I've got Uncharted Mariner, Spray Stain. And if you have stains or oxides, only one or the other, just use what you have. Then I have the Salvage Patina in the Oxide Spray. I have Walnut Stain in the Oxide Spray. And then we're going to throw a little bit of this Gilt Dina Wakley Gloss Spray on after. I don't know if I called one of these gloss spray, but those two are oxides. These two are spray stains. What else did I put on this? I'm also going to show you how you can add some of this bee shimmer. I didn't put it on here, but I did put it on this one, so you can see that shimmery effect, and it's really easy. You want to have a water bottle, and I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. If there is, then I guess we'll grab it. Okay, so her video, Tiffany's video, kind of showed if you're not comfortable spraying, or you feel like just a little bit intimidated to spray things on, this was a good way to start, and I actually really like the effect. Thanks, Rosie, no worries. So how you're going to start is you're going to take your spray stain, and we're going to spray some directly out on to our background. So I'm just spraying it in kind of a little area here. And you also, it's not so important with the spray stains because I don't think they clog too easily, but I just like, if I'm spraying anything, I like to give it a wipe and just make sure nothing's on the nozzle. And I think that keeps it flowing nicely. You don't have to mix up the spray stains. Just wipe the nozzle off here. It's a little bit inky. And this one is really nice and dark. So you're going to get an idea of how much you want to put on, but really don't worry too much. Okay, with the oxide sprays, you want to shake them side to side. And I felt like this was just a really nice controlled way to add things. So that's how we're going to start. And you're going to shake up your bee shimmery. You can see when it settles to the bottom, you just need to shake that up. I do have to use the heat gun quite a bit for this technique, so hopefully that doesn't drive you bonkers. Okay, so we're just gonna put some drops, and look how shimmery that is. It's just beautiful. So you can do that shimmer stuff. You can splat it on your cards. You can add it to paints, and it gives you a really lovely shimmery effect. So this is our Vicki Boutin Foundations paper. Has anybody played with the Uncharted Mariner colors yet? And this is just water, and I'm just spraying it to get some movement here. Now, if I want a little bit more, I want to kind of move that shimmer around a bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay this in, and I'm just lightly tapping it just to get it to soak in a little bit. I think it was last week or the week before, we kind of looked at some different, look, isn't that beautiful? So this is just your first layer. Don't freak out if you feel like it's not looking like you want it to look, because this is how I started and this is what I got to. So really it's just layers. I really love how the blue and the orange, they start making that kind of greeny brown effect. Isn't that cool? So let me get my heat gun. I think the key to this is drying in between your layers. So again, sorry about the heat gun, but we need it for this technique. And you can start to see that shimmer. I don't know if you can see it on camera. And then we're going to dip it back in. So we're trying not to mix all the colors or we would just get brown. And that's pretty, I probably will wipe that up because I don't really want to have any more of that deep green. I love that, but I want it to have more of the blue and the orange. But we're going to dry this for now. And already it's just starting to look so cool. And then if you feel like you don't want to waste all that, just grab, this is just some really thin white cardstock. And so if we hate it and it just looks weird, we can just throw it out. But sometimes you get a really cool effect. So, and I can see the shimmer on that, and we'll just set that aside to dry. We don't need to. Okay, so let's wipe that up, and then we can start doing our layers. So basically, this is your first layer. I just need a, what do I have here? I just want to get a napkin. Nope, there's none there. Or a piece of paper towel. Sometimes that's good to have just handy if you want to blot. Okay. So now I know that I want some more of this orange. You can just kind of decide. So this, you can just lightly spritz and you get some little blobs. We're a little more comfortable now because we've, got our base. So we can give it a little spray. Okay, then we've got our salvage patina. I think that I'm just going to do some droplets on this. So you can also do this if you're feeling like you don't want to get too much of something on. And look, that's so cool, dripped right into the orange. So I think what we'll do is we'll dry this. We'll add a little bit more of our Uncharted Mariner. And just by spraying on those spots, I'm creating some water droplets. I'm moving this around a bit, but I'm not putting so much water that it washes out the whole thing. And you could totally set this aside to dry, but it would take a while to do this whole procedure if you did. If you're not using thicker paper, just be careful that you're not drying your paper, making it too hot and starting on fire. That would be a whole different technique. And as this dries, you're getting these water spots that just have that watercolor cooled look. And you can, if you have a lot of water, you can wipe it up, but I really like the look of it once it dries. And once it starts to dry, it doesn't take long. If you dab it up, I find that it lifts the color. So I'll show you here in a bit when we do our water splotches. If you want to lift the color off, then you can spray it with water and lift it. See, isn't that cool? Once you do dry it and it just, now you can keep re-wetting this and it will keep moving the color. And I see lots of shimmer from that shimmer spray. So you can see we're getting these layers. I'm going to wipe this up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, the color combo, I like this one. All right, so I'm thinking, you know, I think we could use a little bit of the darker blue here. Just kind of look at your background and feel like, you know, what would you like? Because this is your project. And if you do kind of pump it, just to be aware that it does tend to come out the nozzle a little bit if you're pumping it. So if you're worried about getting dirty, this might not be the technique for you. Or you could wear gloves, I guess. I tend to not, it comes off pretty easily. I actually like that on there. I've got the walnut stain. I might spray this just to move it around a little bit though. But before I do, we've got our walnut stain. And this just adds a really cool effect. So you can see the spray stain is more of that deep, true, it's translucent, whereas the oxides are more of a chalky, they give you that oxidized look, like that blue there. That was the Salvage Patina. And they actually layer over one another too. So let's spray this a bit just to move it around a little bit because it's too fun not to. And you could let it dry there like that, but I think we'll have some splotches and then we'll have some spots that are a little bit more of that watercolor. And I think you could just keep going. Like it's, you know, you could add until you're completely happy. And this paper really is very forgiving and lets you add lots of mixed media to it. You don't have it in your hands, but you're loving the Uncharted Mariner? Yeah. And I loved both the stains. I started getting the stains as well as the oxides. I was originally only getting the oxides, but I just love the way the stains look as well. And if you got this spot and you thought, oh, I wish that I would have sprayed that a little bit more, then go ahead and spray it, and you're going to get another layer of watercolor. And you can also dab some up if you feel like if you dab it, it's removing the color. And you can also give it a dry on the back. You can run this through, if you have a laminator and you find that it is warping some, you can run it through your laminator after it's completely dry. All right, so I feel like, let me see here. What do we need? I think I'm going to use that stencil over top, but first, let's put a little bit of this gilt spray on. Irene, the paper that I'm using is the Vicky Boutin Foundations paper. It's the pad of paper, and it's 12 by 12. Okay, so this is the gilt, and these, this is the Dina Wakley Gloss Spray. These are fabulous sprays. They are acrylic paint, and once they're dry, they're dry. So don't get it on your phone or your iPad or anything like that. And I know that Dina likes to just set them aside to dry, but you don't have to spray it. If you want to spray it, you can see that it kind of moves around, but we can also just dry it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm adding a few little drops of water, and then I'm going to dry those drips. And then we've got those gold little splotches on there. Okay, does that look cool? But so totally different than the first one I did, right? So every year it's going to be different every time. I love these little splatters in there. I really like those. So if we take our stencil, and we could go in with, just make sure this is dry. Yep. So this is the focus stencil. And I thought, why don't we go in with a little bit of the oxide ink pad and do a little bit of inking, and then we could add a little bit of like the grit paste as well. But we'll do the inking first because the inking is going to be flat, and then the grit paste is going to be layered. I also picked up this from the store. I think there's still one in there, but if it's something that you want, you can ask Sandy to order it in. And it's a Hero Arts holder, and you can, whatever you're using, you can like stick your paintbrushes in any of these little holes, your little scissors. I think it's just such a fabulous thing to have on the side of your desk. So I thought I would try that out for today. So I'm going to use just a brush, and let's just do a few different areas with this. So this is the oxide pad. Do a little bit there and a little bit here, and then we'll dry it and add some of that grit paste. Like, seriously, does that not look cool or what? Then we'll add some of the grit paste over there. We have that thing that I ended up mopping up our extra spray, and what we can do with the ink is just mist our stencil. And layer it on there. Isn't that cool? So just having, some tags off to the side or some scrap paper, you can end up with some really fun backgrounds. Okay, so let's give this a dry, just because I don't want my embossing powder to stick, although it's not going to really matter if it does. I'm just going to dry it a little bit. If you wanted to flick a little bit of water or something on that, then you'd even get those little spots oxidizing in that area. Okay, then let's grab some of this grit paste. He was calling me there. Sorry. Obviously, they don't know that I'm doing a live right now. Not to be disturbed. All right, so we've got the translucent grit paste. And just going to use your little spatula and this stencil. We could totally go over the spot that we did, or we can do a different, I think I'm going to mix it up and do a different spot. Okay, have you guys tried this grit paste too? There's, I think I need some of the crackle paste. I haven't used, I don't think I have any. You've never heard of the grit paste, Ellie? So there's a bunch of different pastes, and there's a new container, but it's the same thing basically. But if you look in the shop, there's texture paste, and this one is opaque and matte, so it's white and you can't see through it. There's the grit paste, and that comes in an opaque. I just need to have a drink. An opaque or a translucent. So translucent, you're going to be able to see through it, just like we put on here. So it's gritty, so you can use it. The opaque stuff would be really nice for like an icicle effect at Christmas. The translucent is fun to put on, and you can see through it, but you still have that textured effect. And we're going to use it with some of the embossing glazes, which are the embossing powders. And yeah, it's just another kind of texture paste, but it dries clear, but it has a texture to it. Shaylin gave Erica a freezy because she couldn't get one at home. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. That's fine. Totally fine. Thank you. Yeah, the girls are running around out to the park. Erica has got to be on the go all the time. She feels like if she doesn't get outside during the day, then, it's like me not crafting for the day kind of thing. That's how she feels. So she needs her outside time, and she really enjoys playing with Tamara's daughter, which is nice. They can bike to the park, and they've got their walkie-talkies. So if you can see that we've got that texture paste right on there. I also thought that these pastes would be really cool as well. These glossy glazes, those would look really cool, especially that color. We played with those last week or something. I don't know. I feel like sometimes the weeks blur. All right, and then we'll put some on here. And then I'm going to wipe this up before I go any further. This is pretty easy to clean off, but I think if it dries on, it's a little bit harder, but it cleans up nicely, nice and easy with water. And as you use your mediums, you'll kind of figure out which ones you need to make sure that you wipe off right away. And some things stain your stencils, and that's totally okay. That just means that you are using them. I just try to have it so that there's not big chunks of things stuck on there. Otherwise, you're not getting as nice an impression as you might. But I don't worry about anything staining it. That just means I'm using it. All right, yes, the texture, Lori. Okay, so we've got, this is not going to dry immediately, so that's why I wasn't rushing. Let's grab our little piece of copy paper here. And now the fun part about adding these glazes. So I grabbed the same colors that I use for the sprays, and that's why it's kind of nice to have the different mediums in the same colors, because then you know that it's all going to match. This is the Uncharted Mariner. So I'm just sprinkling this on, but I don't want to cover the whole thing. So if I wanted it all one color, I could just shake it on. But because I want the colors to kind of mix like they are in the background, and just be careful that you don't get all your colors mixed up if you have some on your fingers. So I'm just adding the powder in different spots. And this is translucent, so you're going to be able to see through it. And of course, if you just have it all on top of one another, it's just going to turn into one color. So that's why I'm just mixing it up. It's kind of hard to see. And then we'll do like Tim does, and he just makes it dance around a bit. And then we can tap it off. And you can set this aside to dry. Thanks, Jenny. Or, of course, we are not going to set that aside to dry. That would be ridiculous. We are going to dry it. If you saw my kitchen right now, you would laugh. It is so full of like everything I have lined up. All right, let's see. So this is going to bubble a little bit, and it will go back down. But we're feeding that glaze, and we're feeding the embossing powder, so that's why you're going to get that bubbly texture, and that's what we want. And just don't hold it on for too long, or it will probably burn a bit. So isn't that cool? So neat. And then if you felt like you did want a little bit of extra definition because that is translucent, you could then go in with, maybe we should grab, I'm almost thinking the black. I've got my black soot oxide. Oh, I almost think like the black soot ink, if I have it close. Here we go. No problem, Lori. Thanks for staying. There is so much, but I think if you have different sprays, if you have different inks, just try them, see what works. So I'm rubbing over this area. This might not exactly work how I want, but we're going to try it because this is our test. I'm dampening this cloth, and the texture paste is going to resist so we're still getting the detail of the black inside, but any of the ink that was on top rubbed off. And this is kind of dark, so we don't really need a lot of definition around it, but it just gives you an idea of how you can add your inks to just define the color. So there we go. All right, so there's our very cool background. This one here is definitely different, but they're both pretty cool. Both pretty neat, hey? Tim would approve of extra grunginess. It is a little extra grungy, you're right. If you wanted to pop this on, you know, a card front and add a die cut sentiment that was like cut out of gold paper, it would be beautiful, and that's kind of all you would need, right? All right, this one, I'll show you what colors. We won't do the whole background, but I'll just tell you what colors I used. I did it the same way. So just following along with those steps. So if you come back to the video and just do those steps, if you have different sprays or, you know, you have whatever, if you just have ink pads, smush your ink pads and do the same thing and just really have fun playing. White glitter paper, yes, Jenny, that would look amazing. So I use the Be Shimmery watercolor. Again, if you have, there's lots of sprays that have glimmer in them, give that a spray in with your sprays. I've got the Kitsch Flamingo, then Uncharted Mariner. I think I was calling it Uncharted, but it's Uncharted. I've got Villainous Potion. That was in the oxide. I used some of the spray stain, although I found that the spray stain in the Kitsch Flamingo was very light. So it was the Uncharted Mariner was almost overpowering it, but when I layered on the oxide, it seemed to come through a little bit better. So again, just play around and see what works. I used some black soot just to splat. I think too you could get some really neat galaxy stuff with this. And then I splatted on the sterling gloss spray. So instead of the gilt that we did on the other one, I used sterling. So that, and then I use the stencil and texture paste, opaque matte, and the Kitsch Flamingo embossing glaze for that effect. So just pull out some colors that you want to try. You can look on Pinterest. You can get lots of ideas for color combinations. All right, I'm just going to show you how I did. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so these embossing folders. Let's zoom out a little bit too, and I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, where did I put the embossing folders? Here we go. So the 3D embossing folder. It is pretty thick, and so what I did was take my paper. Let me see what I have here. I've got a piece of craft paper. It's fairly thin, and I did spritz it with water. So just give it a spray. I'm just going to spray it off to the side so don't get everything all wet. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be soaking wet. It just gives the paper a little extra give. And then I'm using my Spellbinders base plate. I've got the Spellbinders 3D folder, and then you could grab just some paper shims or like play around with your machine. I grabbed this embossing mat, and it seemed to be a good thickness. So I'm just going to roll it through. And again, you don't need a lot of pressure. Like when I put this through, it didn't feel like it was much pressure at all, but it actually gave me a really nice embossed effect. Isn't that neat? So you can do that with any color that you have, any paper. It looks really great. It looks really great with metallic cardstock, the tonic mirror cardstock. Stocks look really great. Okay, let's try. This is like a kind of a brushed gold. It's a tonic one. I don't know if it's in the store, but not a mirror gold. But the mirrored cardstocks always look fantastic embossed. This one, you can see it did crack a little bit. I could have probably either wetted a little bit more, but I am totally okay with this because I think if you do get one that's you get a little bit of cracking, then grab your inks and we can totally play with that effect. Like corrugated cardboard I think looks super cool when you've got that effect where it's torn and ripped. So you can either have it really nice and precise. This was a piece of probably 110-pound white that embossed really nicely. And just grab some samples of the papers you want to use. Okay, so we tore some off of that. Sorry, I think I missed some comments. Thanks, Julie. Okay. We've got the ground espresso. And this is an oxide, but just play around with adding some fun effects. And how cool does that? You know, I think I would probably tear the other edges. And then you've got this really cool distressed piece. You can add to any kind of a background. And then you've got extra grunginess. Even with this just very nicely embossed piece, you can go ahead and ink it and just give it a little bit extra dimension. Isn't that cool? Florals on top would be really great. I do like that look of something that's got that grungy distress look, and then if you put something very clean on top of it, like some die cut florals or those, yeah. So look at, you've got some clean floral images that you put on that, or even like that kind of thing. That looks cool, hey? I didn't plan those colors to actually match, but they actually look pretty good. Okay, so that's the corrugated one, and then we have this one here. So that one's a little thinner. So if I grab this gold paper again, and I found that it wasn't as important to wet this, but you still could because there's still quite a bit of dimension. Let me see if I have another little strip of paper. So we'll put this through, and so what I did for this one, and this one was the crossing stars. I actually used just the base plate and then the top plate. Or just one of the plates. This is the one that I usually cut into, but whichever one. And I'm going to just run that through. And this one has such great dimension. Looks amazing. So you could just use it like that, or you could go in and add some color to it. You could do even some sprays, some ink sprays, or your oxide. You could do a little bit of oxide spray and just see what that looked like. And again, it's not a big deal if it is something that you think turns out horrible, because really you're just playing around. You're just going to wipe that up. And it ends up drying pretty soft. Isn't that pretty? I don't know necessarily that I would use that color with this paper, but I'm just kind of showing you that you can just go in and layer stuff. But if you do have that base, the base color of this gold, then as you layer, depending on the effect, you're almost getting that patina worn metallic. You could add some oranges in there, just like we added. And then you've got just a really nice kind of cool background effect. Again, you could go in with your flowers and add them on. Kind of thing. Or you could just do some techniques and put them in a little folder and have, okay, so for that one, this is what I layered. Those are always fun too. And then if you have some time where you're not sure what to do, or you are uninspired, just looking through that little binder is often enough to get you inspired. And then next thing, which I think I won't do today because we're kind of getting super long, but those flowers from the Altenew cone flower, I just layered on exactly how the stamp set told me. They have videos online as well, and they have a lot of reference information on their website. So it just tells you which layers to do. I stamped them on. And for this one, I used the Altenew inks, kind of the teal blue inks. The Pink Fresh as well are really great for that. So there's Altenew, the mini cubes in the 4-pack, and there's Pink Fresh in the store. And they're great for layering. I found I did try some with just using my oxides and my distress inks, and I really didn't think that they worked. So this is, I mean, you could, it still is a cool effect, but I felt like this one here was Hero Arts. So this is just some ones that I had in my stash. This one was Cornflower and Navy from Hero Arts. And I felt like maybe I just wasn't getting the color combinations right, or it just really, I felt like I didn't get a really great stamp. But play with whatever inks you have and you'll find ones that you really like if you're doing stamp layering. So I love using my distress inks and oxides, but I just found stamp layering wasn't my favorite for using them. The stencils, I love using them with the stencils. So that one was for that. I used Concord and Ninth. This was just from my stash. These are really nice. I think I would like to try more of these. I use those for the stems. For this one here, I used, I know both of these are in the shop, and these are both great colors. I've used them a lot for different layering things. This one is the Martian Terrain, so I use that for this. And then this one is Nature's Wonders, and I use that for the inside. And you don't always have to use 4 inks. So if you found that you wanted to use, these two together, for this one, I think that I just used these two. So you can kind of play around. And then I used a couple more of the Concord and Ninth for this one. So just to give you an idea of the color combos. But there's different companies there, but I felt like the inks all really work together. So my biggest tip would just be to say, play with what you have. If you stamp something and you don't like the color combination, you don't like the ink that you're using, try something different. And you're using it. And so I'll probably stamp a bunch more of this and try some different color combinations. and I'll have a bunch of flowers stamped, and then I think either next week or the week after when we do a demo, we'll play with some of those and make some cards together. Thanks, Irene. Yeah, so that was fun. Now I have a bunch of, embossed stuff that I can go back and grab and start putting some cards together. I like this. I love this. I think I'm going to play with some more greens with the Uncharted Mariner, and maybe do some more purples and do something with the purple, because I kind of like that, how that turned out. But thanks, Darlene. Yeah, give it a try. And we have a new challenge in our Scrap Shotz paper crafting group. It is anything goes for the summer. So we want to see, it doesn't matter what theme, you can do Christmas in July, you can do mixed media, you can just, whatever you're playing with, share it, add it to the album. The Anything Goes summer album, it's going to run all summer. And then at the end of the summer, we'll pick a winner for a $25 gift card to the Scrap Shotz store. That's in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group. And yeah, so add your projects there, or if you're just making some backgrounds, then feel free to share them and just tell us what you used, what products that you have and that you used, and what you found. We also have a new group right now, the Scrapaganza, Calgary Scrapaganza group. And you can find that if you go to the Scrap Shotz page and you click on groups. That'll be one of the groups that's affiliated. So the Scrapaganza is going to be a scrapbooking crop and shop, really fun event that we're holding in the fall. All the information's in that group, and we're going to hold registration on June the 27th. So you can buy a spot to crop and come with your friends and set up all your stuff. It's in the same spot as Carnival was, but we're doing it in fall. And you can just buy a shopping pass and come and do some shopping, because there'll be different stores there. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be really fun. So join the group, and then you'll find out, whatever is going on, you'll be the first to find out. You live too far away. I'm sorry, Irene, we will miss you. Yes, Christmas, I've been thinking about Christmas in July, because it's been 6 months, right? I think if we start making our cards now, then we'll actually have them to give out. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. Enjoy crafting or enjoy the sunshine, and I'll talk to you later. But thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Have a great week. Bye-bye.